Okay.
Three parts. The will, you gotta have a real desire to want to be better.
Yeah, and to want to, to not give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are all three parts important too?
You gotta climb the hill to get the skill.
Yeah, you've got to climb the hill and you've got to decide what your goal is, right? So it's pretty cool, but you're right. Without the will, you won't make it. But you've got to have a plan of some sort. You've got to get some skills. Yeah, and stick with it.
Can you give me just a quick example of what that looks like in the age of an elementary student?
Yeah, like they're going to learn their colors. I mean, I'm even going lower.
Okay.
But, of course, executive function, I just read this the other day because I was afraid somebody was going to say, well, what age do you get executive function? And I'm sure you're wondering that. So it said that age 6 or 7 is when executive function comes online. However, it said that there's proof now of 2-year-olds, as young as 2-year-olds having executive function, to have a plan. So even somebody about learning their colors, if you just consciously, I'm glad you asked that, but to consciously talk about, let's learn our colors, or whatever it is, or let's learn the states. Gee, the teacher said to learn the states and the capitals. And so maybe write that down, make a poster maybe, or just on an index card that's our goal, or put it on the wall. Our goal is to learn the states and their capitals, or my address, or my phone number. It can be anything of the parts of a plant. And then, so that would be like giving them the hill and then the skill to practice doing it. And that's where we're going to use seeing, talking and hearing and touching. Like if we're learning the days of the week or the months. I was doing this yesterday with a child on paper plates. One paper plate, I used thousands of paper plates and thousands of colored index cards. And so I wrote January, February, March, and the months, and we walked them. So this would be a way to get the skill. I walked them first, like I do it, we do it together, and then you do it. That's a good way to make everything happen. So first I walked them, and I said, I did it loud and screaming, January, February, and I walked on the paper plates. And then we did it together, and then he did it with me kind of with him and giving him cues when he needed them. If when he got to like October and he was floundering, and I just went, and so he got it. It's called scaffolding, which if you think of what a scaffold does when you're painting a house or building a house, it just gives you enough support to get you there. And so scaffolding in education is when you just give them enough of a hint, give them enough help. I would just do like, and he could get it. If he needed October, I would give him the whole thing. But hopefully you give him less. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So really this is good for anybody.
Yes.
I mean, we all need this. And working toward them, I kind of got off the track on this thing about January, February, but whatever you're teaching them, like if it's the states and the capitals, whatever it is, you want to have the physical thing, like a puzzle map of the United States. And that's one of my favorite things. And just take each state, walk Minnesota, and whatever's a capital. I should have picked one I knew. Anybody know? Maybe I can say. What now? Is it St. Paul's? Yeah. So, walk, make it multisensory by using your eyes, talking and hearing at the same time, touching and moving. I'm holding that puzzle piece, I'm walking it, I see it, I'm talking it, I'm yelling it. Whatever you're learning, or if it's like with a twister mat, I love my twister mat, like a lot of people might have, and I might just put the index cards of whatever you're doing, colors, dates, history, presidents and what they did, and I would have maybe index cards on the twister mat, or just on the floor, or just on a big, I have a big like a cardboard stand-up folder, thing, and I lay it on the floor, and it's bright yellow, and we just put the cards on it, and maybe at the top you have all the presidents' names that you're learning, and then down this column, down the left-hand side, you have something, whatever you have to learn about that president, and then you get down on the floor with it, and you talk about it. You're touching, moving, you're doing all this, and you're saying, okay, Abraham Lincoln, Civil War, George Washington, first president, and dyslexic. Thomas Jefferson, third president, and dyslexic. John F. Kennedy, dyslexic. George Bush, dyslexic. Winston Churchill, not our president, dyslexic. So it could be anything, and I have like a friend who's in medical school doing this. He's in medical school. Think it could be the nerves and their functions, or the muscles and their insertions, or whatever. The bones. You can put those on this board. You can write them on a. I love paper plates. I have thousands of paper plates. I told you that. And we'll take a big marker and write. If it was, your definitions of something, it could be low level. It could be high level. It could be graduate school. It could be law school. Write the definition. Write the word. And say the word in the definition, maybe write some of it and yell it and scream it and throw it. And so you have all these Frisbee paper plates all over the room. And then you could say, okay, go find the one that's about this. And whatever you're studying, go find this one. And so it's a way to review them, and then go pick them up and say it again. That's the way to teach the skills to get up this hill. And so you're going to be using all the parts of your brain, this whole brain therapy sort of thing, multisensory learning. And the cool thing about that is this is kind of almost free. Like, you already have your body with you, right? Show me your body. Yeah, you already have your body. And so that's free. So teach strategies they can control. Like, teach, if they make a bad grade, instead of saying, I'm just stupid, or the teacher was stupid, or that was a dumb test, I'd like for them to say, I can use, what strategies can you use? I can do this next time, or I can write it on my index cards. I can write it on my plates, paper plates. That's a strategy that they're thinking and using, and say, I want them to say, I can do this better. Now, I got rid of one of my football things, and now it would have been perfect. It was a guy from Hoover, and so it's this picture of this guy on the Hoover team, and this was the day after they lost the state championship game. And he was saying how, I wish I'd saved it in here. He was saying how he was so upset, about losing the game. He said, but I realized I had to go on and live, and live the next thing, or do the next thing, or live for another day. And he said, so I joined the wrestling team. Like the next day, he joined the wrestling team, and he said, and I'm going to work toward a state championship in wrestling. And so just think, my daughter, she was a cheerleader in high school, and then she didn't make it one year, and she just sort of quit doing anything. And I couldn't seem to make her, I just couldn't seem to get her motivated. And it was just really sad that she kind of, since she didn't make cheerleader, she just didn't do something else. And that's really sad. She was wonderful. She ended up being homecoming queen, so that was good. But anyway, she really she didn't get involved in anything else. And it just made me so sad. And except for social, I guess. But this, I thought this was so great of this Hoover student, Terrence Glaze was his name, and he just said that I had to take my anger to wrestling, and make it. So wasn't that a good thing instead of giving up? I'll say, so teach them, so praise them when you see them use a strategy that was on purpose. It's good for you to, you're teaching it to them, and then you can say, wow, you did that. Look what you did. You used that tree strategy, or you put them on paper plates, or you put it on index cards, or you walked your words around, and look how well you did. You've got to notice when they got it and say, you really did that. And the stress is that you are in control, and you did it. And you didn't just blame it on somebody else. You didn't blame it on the teacher was no good. You took control because you're in the driver's seat. And so, so use strategies and skills that you have control over instead of blaming anything else, because you can't control those other things. Okay, what's the difference between learning and not learning is if you want to learn to involve yourself, to not just sort of sit back, like, again, so many of our kids will sit back. I want to teach them to sit up front, like Andrell, up front, and Mary, and Terriana, and Cassie. Yeah. So you want to teach them to sit up front and to be involved. If we can teach them the old thing about you get out of it what you put into it, if we can help them to see that. Now, I know this is too many words, and I know it's hard to read, but this is out of the Judith Birch book, okay? They have a great chapter on study strategies in here, okay? And I have the page there. And this is level 1, like she has level 2 and level 3. But just picture that if you can convince your student, if they can pick some of these strategies, they might not want to do them all at once. But the idea is her level 1 strategies don't take any extra time. The level 2 strategies take a tiny bit extra, the street takes a little bit extra. But think about it, if they did these things for a week, or if they just started doing these things, how much would this help them? I want you to think about it. If they look directly at the teacher and look at, to look directly at them when they're talking, because a lot of our kids don't look at the teacher, do you think? They don't look. So these are going to be ways to get the teacher to like you. These are, and I don't mean like exactly, but for the teacher to see you as a person. I think sometimes they think that you're you're just not doing well, and you don't care. They think you don't care, and so they write you off. Yeah, I had dyslexic. Was that your child? Yeah, can you picture a 6-year-old feeling that